What if I told you that some of the smartest people in the world make the dumbest decisions with money? Not because they don't know better, but because knowing and doing are two very different things. That's the strange, fascinating paradox of money. It's not a test of intelligence, it's a test of behavior. Picture this: a tech millionaire standing by the Pacific Ocean with his friends. Moments earlier, he sent an assistant to buy thousands of dollars worth of gold coins. When the coins arrived, he didn't store them. He didn't invest them. He threw them into the ocean, skipping each one like a rock while laughing at how far they went. A few years later, that same man went completely broke. How does that happen? How does someone brilliant enough to invent million-dollar technology end up financially destroyed? The answer is simple: money doesn't respond to IQ. It responds to emotions, habits, and human nature. The truth is, doing well with money has little to do with what you know, and everything to do with how you behave. Greed, fear, ego, envy, and hope control more financial outcomes than spreadsheets ever will. In The Psychology of Money, Morgan Housel shows us that wealth isn't built by genius. It's built by discipline, humility, and patience. Because at the end of the day, money isn't a math problem. It's a psychology problem. And once you learn how your mind really works around money, you'll finally understand how to make it work for you. Now click the subscribe button and let's begin. Chapter 1: No one's crazy. People do strange things with money. Some save every penny, others spend it the moment it arrives. Some invest fearlessly, others can't stand the thought of risk. But here's the truth: no one is crazy. Everyone's relationship with money makes sense to them, even if it looks completely irrational to you. That's because our financial behavior is shaped by personal experience. We don't learn about money in classrooms or from textbooks. We learn through the lives we've lived. A person who grew up during a financial crisis sees the world differently from someone who grew up in a booming economy. Someone raised in poverty understands risk and security in a way the child of a wealthy family never will. If you've lived through high inflation, you might hoard goods or distrust paper money. If you've only known stability, you might think saving aggressively is unnecessary. If your parents lost everything in a market crash, the idea of investing might fill you with fear. Yet to another person, investing feels like the safest path forward. What seems irrational to one person can be perfectly logical to another, because both are acting on lessons life has taught them. Our beliefs about money come from a tiny sample of the world, our own experiences, but they shape nearly every financial decision we make. The lesson here is simple but powerful. Don't judge others for their financial choices, and don't assume your way is the only right way. Everyone is playing a different game, with different memories, fears, and dreams guiding them. Understanding that truth is the first step to mastering your own psychology of money. Chapter 2: Luck and Risk. In life and in money, success and failure often look like the result of hard work or poor judgment. But behind every story, there are invisible forces, luck and risk, that quietly shape the outcome. Two people can make the same decision, take the same risks, and work just as hard, yet end up in completely different places. Take the story of Bill Gates and his childhood friend Kent Evans. In 1968, Gates attended Lakeside School in Seattle, one of the only high schools in the world with access to a computer at the time. That single stroke of luck gave him a head start that would later lead to the birth of Microsoft. But what's less known is that Kent Evans, Gates' best friend and equal in brilliance, shared his passion for technology. The two dreamed of building a business together. Then tragedy struck. Before graduating high school, Kent died in a mountain climbing accident. Bill Gates experienced a 1 in a million stroke of luck. Kent Evans suffered a 1 in a million tragedy. Both had the same potential, but luck and risk determined their destinies. The lesson is clear. When you judge success or failure, remember that what you see is never the whole story. A person's outcome is shaped by more than effort, intelligence, or skill. It's shaped by timing, circumstances, and forces beyond control. The world is too complex for effort alone to guarantee results. That's why it's dangerous to idolize billionaires or condemn failures without understanding the unseen variables at play. Instead of studying extreme examples, look for broad patterns, habits and behaviors that work across many situations and over time. Those patterns, not isolated success stories, hold the real lessons about how to manage money in life. The truth is, luck and risk are two sides of the same coin. Respect them both, and you'll approach success with humility and failure with grace. Chapter 3: Never Enough. At a lavish party hosted by a billionaire, author Joseph Heller, best known for his novel Catch-22, was told by his friend Kurt Vonnegut that their host had made more money in a single day than Heller had earned from his famous book over its entire lifetime. Heller simply replied, "Yes, but I have something he will never have, enough." That short, quiet statement carries one of the most powerful lessons about money. Knowing when you have enough is the ultimate form of wealth. It protects you from greed, envy, and the endless chase for more. Because in a world that constantly tells you to earn more, buy more, and achieve more, the ability to say, "I have enough," is a rare kind of freedom. Rajat Gupta was a man who didn't know that freedom. He rose from poverty in India to become the head of McKinsey & Company and one of the most respected business minds in the world. But even after achieving more than almost anyone could dream of, he wanted more. Surrounded by billionaires, he began comparing himself to them, and that comparison drove him to risk everything by engaging in insider trading. He lost his career, reputation, and freedom, not because he needed more, but because he couldn't stop wanting more. Greed isn't always loud or obvious. It often hides behind ambition, competition, and the illusion that happiness lives just one step ahead of where you are now. But the truth is, if you're always chasing the next milestone, you'll never feel like you've arrived. Comparison is the enemy of satisfaction. There will always be someone richer, younger, or more successful. The game of more has no finish line. Real wealth isn't measured by what you gain, but by what you can walk away from and still feel complete. The moment you stop needing to prove your worth through possessions or status, you've already won a game most people never finish. Because peace of mind, not more money, is the highest return you'll ever earn. Chapter 4: Confounding Compounding. Warren Buffett is often celebrated as one of the greatest investors in history, but the real secret behind his fortune isn't just his skill, it's time. As remarkable as it sounds, almost all of Buffett's wealth came after his 60th birthday. Out of more than $80 billion, nearly $84 billion was accumulated after he qualified for Social Security. His genius lies not only in how he invests, but in how long he's been doing it. Buffett started investing at the age of 10. If he had started later in life, even with the same brilliant strategy and returns, his fortune would be only a fraction of what it is today. That's the quiet miracle of compounding. Small returns sustained over long periods produce extraordinary results. Compounding is simple but not easy. It doesn't require extreme intelligence or high-risk strategies. It requires patience, the discipline to stay consistent even when results seem small or slow. That's why so few people truly benefit from it. Everyone wants quick rewards, but compounding doesn't reward impatience. It rewards endurance. Think of compounding like planting a tree. In the early years, it grows slowly, almost unnoticeably. Then one day, after years of steady growth, it becomes massive, providing shade, fruit, and strength that seem to appear out of nowhere. But they didn't. They were quietly growing all along. In money, as in life, small habits practiced daily, saving a little, investing regularly, avoiding unnecessary risk, create more wealth than chasing big wins. Because while luck can make you rich overnight, only compounding can keep you rich for a lifetime. The magic of compounding is that it works best when you stop trying to make it magical. Stay patient. Stay consistent. Let time do the heavy lifting. Chapter 5: Getting Wealthy versus Staying Wealthy. Getting rich and staying rich are two completely different skills. Many people master the first but fail at the second. Getting wealthy often demands optimism, boldness, and a willingness to take risks. Staying wealthy, on the other hand, requires humility, fear, and a healthy dose of paranoia. You have to protect what you've built just as fiercely as you once chased it. History is filled with people who made fortunes, only to lose them just as quickly. Some took bigger and bigger risks once they succeeded, believing the same boldness that created their wealth would keep it growing. But wealth doesn't respond to pride. It responds to patience, discipline, and the constant awareness that things can change in an instant. Jesse Livermore, one of the most famous traders of the early 20th century, once made the equivalent of billions of dollars by shorting the market during the 1929 crash. But just a few years later, he lost it all through reckless bets. His brilliance made him rich, his overconfidence made him poor. The lesson is clear: getting wealthy requires risk-taking, but staying wealthy requires survival. A survival mindset means focusing less on extraordinary gains and more on avoiding permanent losses. It's the art of staying in the game long enough for compounding and time to do their work. The best investors aren't those who make the most money in a single year. They're the ones who can play the game for decades without going broke. As Andy Grove of Intel once said, "Only the paranoid survive." That doesn't mean living in fear. It means respecting uncertainty. It means saving more than you think you need, taking fewer risks than you think you can handle, and never assuming the future will look like the past. Wealth isn't a finish line you cross. It's a game you have to keep playing. To stay in the game, remember this: optimism builds wealth, but humility preserves it. Chapter 6. Thus you win. In finance, as in life, success often comes down to just a few big wins, the rare events that make all the difference. The truth is, most of what happens in markets, business, or even personal decisions doesn't matter much. But every so often, something extraordinary happens, tail event, and that single moment can shape your entire outcome. Consider the career of Warren Buffett again. Out of the hundreds of investments he has made, the majority of his lifetime returns come from just a handful of them, companies like Coca-Cola, Apple, and American Express. The same principle applies across the world of business and innovation. Out of thousands of startups, only a few become household names like Amazon, Google, or Tesla. Those few tails account for almost all of the success and wealth creation in the system. That's why patience and endurance matter more than brilliance. To benefit from the rare big wins, you have to stay in the game long enough to experience them. Many people give up after setbacks or chase constant, predictable results. But the reality is, extraordinary success is never consistent. It's concentrated. Judging yourself or others by averages can be misleading. A portfolio may look average most of the time, but a few exceptional years can change everything. The same is true for careers, relationships, and ideas. One opportunity handled well can outweigh dozens of small mistakes. The key is not to avoid failure, but to survive it. Your job is to stay in the game, to keep going through the dull and difficult periods until luck, timing, or perseverance aligns in your favor. So when life or money feels uncertain, remember this rule: you don't need everything to go right, just a few big things. In the long run, tails win. Chapter 7. Freedom. The highest dividend money ever pays isn't in interest, luxury, or status. It's in control. The ability to wake up every morning and decide how you'll spend your time is the purest form of wealth there is. True freedom is not about owning more, but about needing less. Most people don't actually want to be rich, they want to be free. They want the freedom to do what they love, to say no when they need to, and to spend their days on their own terms. Money, when used wisely, is simply the tool that buys you that freedom. Imagine having enough financial security that you no longer have to work a job you hate, answer to a boss you dislike, or sacrifice time with your family just to survive. That's what wealth should give you: the right to choose how you spend your limited time on earth. Many people chase money for the wrong reasons: to impress, to compare, or to feel important. But if all that money costs you your time, your health, or your peace of mind, it's not wealth, it's a trade-off. True wealth gives you options. It lets you take a day off without worry, walk away from a toxic environment, or spend time on things that actually matter. Morgan Housel reminds us that happiness doesn't come from the number in your bank account, but from the amount of control you have over your schedule. When you can choose how to use your time, you experience a quiet kind of joy, the joy of freedom. In the end, money's greatest power is not in what it can buy, but in what it can allow you to stop doing. Freedom is the ultimate return on investment, and it's the one form of wealth that everyone should strive for. Chapter 8. The man in the car paradox. Imagine this. You're driving down the street and see someone in a sleek, expensive car. For a brief moment, you might think, wow, that's a nice car. But here's the irony, you're not really admiring the person inside it. You're imagining yourself behind the wheel. The admiration doesn't go to the driver, it goes to the idea of owning what they have. That's the man in the car paradox. People who spend money to buy status symbols often believe others will look at them with respect and admiration. In reality, most people barely notice them. They're too busy thinking about what they would look like if they had the same things. Wealth as a display of success is one of the most common illusions of our time. Many people go broke trying to look rich, all to impress others who aren't even paying attention. The truth is, possessions rarely earn the admiration we imagine. At best, they earn curiosity. At worst, they earn envy. Respect can't be bought. It's earned through character, humility, and how you treat people. Attention fades quickly, but respect lasts. When you chase attention, you become a prisoner to other people's opinions. When you seek respect, you build something that endures long after the applause stops. The next time you see someone showing off their wealth, remember this paradox. People aren't thinking about them, they're thinking about themselves. And that means the only person you ever need to impress is you. Chapter 9. Wealth is what you don't see. When you see a person driving a luxury car, wearing designer clothes, or living in a grand house, it's easy to assume they're wealthy. But most of the time, what you're seeing isn't wealth, it's spending. The truth is, real wealth is invisible. It's the money that hasn't been spent yet. Rich is what people see. Wealth is what you don't. It's the quiet financial strength that sits in savings accounts, investments, and assets that grow quietly over time. It's the freedom to make choices without fear, the ability to say no, and the comfort of knowing you can handle whatever life throws at you. The problem is our culture celebrates visible success. We admire people who look rich, not those who actually are. The person driving an old car, living in a modest home, and wearing simple clothes may have far more financial security than the one flashing designer brands and posting vacation photos online. Wealth is built through restraint, through the decision to hold back, to save instead of spend, to delay gratification for greater freedom later. Saving doesn't make headlines, but it's the silent engine behind every story of lasting prosperity. Every dollar you don't spend is a dollar that can buy you time, independence, and peace of mind in the future. The goal isn't to impress others with what you own, it's to build a life that doesn't depend on their approval. Because when you understand that wealth is what you don't see, you stop chasing appearances and start building real financial strength. In the end, the truest sign of wealth is simple, when you no longer feel the need to prove it. Chapter 10. Save money. When most people think about building wealth, they focus on earning more, a higher salary, a better job, or a bigger business. But the truth is, wealth has far less to do with how much you earn and far more to do with how much you save. Income helps you look rich, saving helps you stay rich. Your saving rate matters more than your investment returns, especially in the beginning. That's because saving is the part you can control. The market can go up or down, interest rates can rise or fall, but how much you choose to save each month is entirely up to you. The person earning a modest income but saving diligently will often end up wealthier than the high earner who spends everything they make. Saving money isn't just about building a safety net, it's about buying freedom. Savings give you flexibility when life changes, independence from debt, and security when opportunities or challenges arise. They give you the confidence to take risks, switch careers, or simply sleep better at night. And here's the key, you don't need a specific reason to save. You don't have to know exactly what you're saving for. Just knowing that life is unpredictable is reason enough. The future will always surprise you, sometimes with problems, sometimes with opportunities. Savings make sure you're ready for both. Saving is the quiet, often overlooked side of wealth creation. It doesn't make you look successful today, but it ensures you'll be successful tomorrow. Because real financial strength isn't about earning more, it's about needing less. Chapter 11. Reasonable over rational. When it comes to money, we often assume that the smartest people are the most successful, those who can calculate every move with precision and logic. But the truth is, You don't need to be perfectly rational with money. You just need to be reasonable. Being rational sounds ideal in theory, but it's impossible to sustain in real life. We're emotional creatures, not robots. Markets fluctuate, jobs change, and life surprises us in ways no spreadsheet can predict. That's why the goal isn't to make every financial decision perfectly logical. It's to make decisions you can live with comfortably for a very long time. Reasonable behavior is what most people can actually sustain for decades. It means spending in a way that lets you sleep at night, investing in a way that keeps you calm during downturns, and saving in a way that feels realistic, not extreme. What matters most isn't finding the best financial strategy, it's sticking with one that works for you. Many people fail financially not because their plans are bad, but because they abandon them at the first sign of discomfort. Good financial habits, saving regularly, staying invested, avoiding debt, beat complex models that rely on perfect timing or flawless logic. You don't need to optimize every penny. You just need a system you can follow through every season of life. In money, as in everything else, consistency beats perfection. Being reasonable isn't settling for less, it's building a plan you'll actually keep. Chapter 12, Surprise. The biggest financial events in history are almost always surprises. Hardly anyone saw them coming, and even fewer were prepared for them. The Great Depression, the oil crisis, the 2008 financial meltdown, the pandemic, all of these events reshaped the world, yet each caught experts and ordinary people off guard. The truth is, the future will always surprise us because the world keeps changing. Technology evolves, politics shift, human behavior adapts, and each new change creates outcomes no one can fully predict. This is why relying too heavily on forecasts or financial predictions can be dangerous. History doesn't repeat itself in the same way, it surprises in new ways every time. What history does teach us is humility. It reminds us that uncertainty is constant and that overconfidence is costly. The people who survive and thrive financially aren't the ones who can predict the future, they're the ones who are prepared for it to be unpredictable. Planning for the unexpected means accepting that you don't know exactly what's coming, but building a cushion for when it arrives. That could mean saving more than you think you need, avoiding excessive debt, or diversifying your investments. It's not about avoiding risk altogether. It's about creating room to adapt when life throws you a curveball. The lesson is simple: expect change. Expect surprises. The best financial plan isn't the one that depends on everything going right, it's the one that still works when things go wrong. Because in the real world, survival always beats prediction. Chapter 13, Room for Error. No matter how carefully you plan, life has a way of surprising you. The markets crash, businesses fail, opportunities vanish, and sometimes luck simply turns the other way. That's why every good plan, financial or otherwise, must include one essential ingredient: room for error. Leaving a margin for error means building a cushion between what could happen and what must happen for you to be okay. It's the difference between surviving a storm and being swept away by it. As Morgan Housel puts it, the most important part of every plan is planning on the plan not going according to plan. Many people build their financial lives around perfect assumptions: steady jobs, rising markets, good health. But the moment something unexpected happens, the entire plan collapses. Financial survival isn't about maximizing every return or predicting every outcome. It's about staying in the game long enough for your long-term goals to play out. Optimization looks good on paper, but survival keeps you in the race. Saving more than you think you need, avoiding too much debt, and keeping your expectations realistic are simple ways to create that buffer. The goal isn't to live in fear, but to respect uncertainty. In the end, wealth isn't built by those who take the biggest risks. It's built by those who give themselves the space to recover from mistakes. Because no one wins the game of money by being perfect, they win by staying in it. Chapter 14, You'll Change. Who you are today is not who you'll be 10 years from now, and that means your financial goals will change too. The things that seem important now might not matter later, and the dreams you're chasing could evolve as your life unfolds. Recognizing that truth is one of the most important parts of managing money wisely. Many people build rigid financial plans as if their current priorities will last forever. They save, invest, and sacrifice for goals that may not even fit their future selves. But life rarely moves in a straight line. Careers shift, families grow, opportunities appear, and values mature. What once motivated you to earn or save may one day feel irrelevant. That's why flexibility is more valuable than perfection. A plan that allows you to adjust is far stronger than one that depends on everything staying the same. Your financial strategy should grow with you, not trap you. Adaptability is a financial superpower. It gives you the freedom to pivot when life demands it and to make decisions that fit who you are becoming, not just who you were. The most successful people aren't the ones who stick stubbornly to their first plan. They're the ones who recognize when it's time to change course. Money is a lifelong relationship, not a one-time decision. And just like any relationship, it works best when you allow it to evolve. The goal isn't to predict your future perfectly, it's to stay flexible enough to thrive no matter how it changes. Chapter 15, Nothing's Free. In money, as in life, everything has a price. Every financial advantage, every opportunity for growth, comes with a hidden cost. It might not be written on a receipt, but you'll pay it in other ways, through stress, uncertainty, or emotional discomfort. High investment returns come with volatility. Running a successful business comes with sleepless nights and risk. Even the safety of a steady job comes with the price of limited freedom and control over your time. The mistake most people make is wanting the reward without accepting the price that comes with it. The stock market, for example, rewards patience. But that reward comes with the pain of watching your investments fall during downturns. If you can't stomach those temporary losses, you'll never stay invested long enough to enjoy the long-term gains. The same rule applies everywhere. There's no wealth without worry, no success without uncertainty. The key is to stop trying to avoid the cost and start recognizing it as part of the deal. Once you understand that volatility and discomfort are the admission tickets to long-term success, you stop seeing them as punishments and start seeing them as progress. Nothing worth having is free. Every financial path has its trade-offs. The people who build lasting wealth are not the ones who find ways to avoid paying the price. They're the ones who accept it, plan for it, and keep going anyway. Because once you make peace with the cost, you earn the reward that most people never will, true financial resilience. Chapter 16, You and Me. Everyone is playing a different game with money. Some people invest for the next 10 years, others for the next 10 months, and some just for the next 10 minutes. The problem is that we often make financial decisions based on what we see others doing, without realizing that their goals, timelines, and risks are completely different from ours. A trader might buy and sell stocks daily, chasing short-term profits. A retiree might focus on safety and steady income. A young entrepreneur might take big risks in search of long-term growth. None of them are wrong, they're just playing different games. But trouble begins when you copy someone else's strategy without understanding the game they're in. Social media makes this confusion worse. You see people boasting about investments, crypto wins, or luxury lifestyles, and you start to wonder if you're falling behind. But you don't know their full story, their debts, their risks, or their priorities. What works for them might be disastrous for you. The most important thing you can do is define your own financial game plan. Decide what wealth means to you, freedom, security, legacy, or comfort, and make choices that align with that vision. Once you know what game you're playing, you stop being distracted by other people's moves. Money is personal. There's no universal strategy, only the one that fits your goals, your temperament, and your timeline. So before you follow anyone's advice, remember this: their path isn't your path. Play your own game, and play it well. Chapter 17, The Seduction of Pessimism. Bad news grabs attention. It sounds intelligent, urgent, and serious. Good news, on the other hand, often sounds naive or overly hopeful. That's the seduction of pessimism. It feels smarter to expect the worst. But in reality, the world has always moved forward through optimism. Every generation has believed it was living through decline, that the economy was collapsing, that the younger generation was lost, or that opportunity had run out. Yet history tells a different story. Despite wars, recessions, and crises, humanity keeps improving. Living standards rise, technology advances, and people continue finding new ways to solve old problems. Pessimism is persuasive because it's immediate. It points to what's wrong right now. Optimism, however, is long-term. It asks for patience and faith in the gradual march of progress. And since losses hurt more than gains feel good, our minds are naturally drawn to fear and caution. The truth is, optimism isn't blind belief that everything will be fine. It's the understanding that setbacks and challenges are part of a bigger story, one that, over time, bends toward growth. Markets recover. Innovation continues. Life, despite its ups and downs, moves forward. Most people underestimate how resilient the world really is. Progress is messy and uneven, but it's constant. To build wealth, and to keep peace of mind, you must train yourself to see beyond the short-term noise of pessimism. Believing in the future isn't foolish, it's practical. Because the odds of long-term success, both in life and in money, have always favored those who believe things will get better and act accordingly. Chapter 18, When You'll Believe Anything. When money is involved, logic often takes a back seat to emotion. Fear and hope, two of the strongest human feelings, can make even the smartest people believe things that don't make sense. That's why financial myths and scams are so common. They don't appeal to reason, they appeal to emotion. People fall for too good to be true promises not because they're foolish, but because they're human. When you're afraid of losing what you have, you'll believe anyone who promises safety. When you desperately want to get ahead, you'll believe anyone who promises quick success. Fear and hope cloud judgment, making unrealistic offers feel possible and reckless risks seem reasonable. History is full of examples, from stock market bubbles to Ponzi schemes, where people ignored obvious warning signs because they didn't want to miss out or couldn't bear to lose. The emotional stakes were too high. The desire for security or wealth blinded them to reality. The best protection against these traps is skepticism, the willingness to question promises, slow down decisions, and demand evidence before acting. It's also financial independence because the more secure you are, the less desperate you become. Desperation makes people vulnerable. Independence makes them careful. Whenever you hear an opportunity that sounds perfect, remember this rule: if it feels too good to be true, it probably is. Money decisions made in emotion rarely end well. The goal isn't to stop believing, it's to believe wisely, with eyes open and feet grounded in reality. Chapter 19, All Together Now. After all the stories, lessons, and ideas explored in this book, the message comes down to a few timeless truths, simple but not easy to live by. These principles form the foundation of a healthy relationship with money and, more importantly, a peaceful relationship with yourself. First, respect luck and risk. Success and failure are never entirely earned or deserved. Life is unpredictable, and unseen forces often shape outcomes more than effort alone. Be humble about your wins and gracious in your losses, knowing that chance plays a role in both. Second, save aggressively. Not because you know exactly what's coming, but because you don't. Savings are the safety net that allow you to take risks, survive uncertainty, and seize opportunity when it appears. The freedom to act on your terms comes from the money you chose not to spend. Third, be humble. Arrogance has destroyed more fortunes than bad luck ever will. The moment you believe you can't lose is the moment you start taking the kinds of risks that guarantee you will. Humility keeps you grounded and in the game. Fourth, avoid envy. Comparison is the thief of contentment. There will always be someone richer, luckier, or faster. The only game worth winning is the one you define for yourself. Fifth, stay flexible. The world changes. Your goals change. Build plans that can bend without breaking. Adaptability is one of the greatest financial advantages you can have. Finally, play the long game. Real wealth isn't built overnight. It grows through patience, discipline, and time. Ignore the noise, endure the slow seasons, and let compounding of money, knowledge, and experience do its quiet work. In the end, the psychology of money isn't about getting rich quickly. It's about staying calm, staying consistent, and staying free. The real reward of mastering money is not just financial success, it's lasting peace of mind. Chapter 20, Confessions. In this final chapter, Morgan Housel steps away from theory and shares his own approach to money, simple, honest, and deeply human. His philosophy isn't about chasing the highest returns or predicting the next big opportunity. It's about building a financial life that brings calm, not chaos. Housel admits that his strategy might seem ordinary compared to Wall Street standards. He doesn't try to beat the market, time his investments, or squeeze every possible percentage point out of his returns. Instead, he focuses on simplicity, patience, and peace of mind. He invests in broad, low-cost index funds, saves consistently, and avoids unnecessary risk. His goal isn't to get rich fast, it's to stay financially independent forever. He believes that the true measure of wealth is freedom, the ability to control your time and live life on your terms. That's why he invests for independence, not performance. If his strategy lets him sleep peacefully at night, it's working. Many people obsess over beating others financially, but Housel warns that ego is the enemy of wealth. When money becomes a tool for showing off, it starts controlling you instead of serving you. His quiet motto sums it up best: less ego, more wealth. In the end, the point of money isn't to prove how smart you are or to win a competition. It's to give you choices, comfort, and peace. The real goal is not to have the most, but to need the least, to live a life that feels rich because it's free from worry, not full of things. Postscript: why we think about money the way we do. To truly understand how we think about money today, we have to look at where those beliefs came from. Much of our financial behavior isn't the result of personal choice alone, it's shaped by history, culture, and the times we live in. After World War II, America entered a period of unprecedented prosperity. Wages rose, jobs were plentiful, and for the first time, ordinary families could afford homes, cars, and vacations. The idea of the American dream took root, a promise that hard work and spending could buy happiness and success. Consumerism became a way of life. Over time, this prosperity gave rise to credit cards, home loans, and easy access to debt. Borrowing became normal, even encouraged. Advertisements told people that happiness was just one purchase away. Society began to measure success not by savings or stability, but by possessions and appearance. As generations passed, those attitudes became deeply ingrained. People learned to equate spending with achievement and comfort with security. But as Morgan Housel reminds us, prosperity can quietly distort perspective. It can make us forget that money is not just a tool for comfort, it's a tool for control, freedom, and peace of mind. The truth is, psychology drives finance far more than math ever will. Numbers may explain how money works, but behavior explains what people do with it. Our spending, saving, and investing habits are all reflections of our emotions, our fears, hopes, and insecurities. When you understand the story behind how society thinks about money, you begin to see your own habits more clearly. The challenge, and the opportunity, is to rewrite that story for yourself. To move from spending for approval to saving for freedom. To stop chasing what others value and start defining wealth on your own terms. Because in the end, money is not just about economics, it's about psychology. And once you master your mind, you master your money. Conclusion: the real riches. In the end, the psychology of money isn't really about dollars, investments, or markets. It's about what money represents. True wealth has never been about how much you earn or how much you own. It's about freedom, the ability to control your time, live on your own terms, and find peace in knowing you have enough. Morgan Housel reminds us that no one's crazy. We're all just playing different games, shaped by our experiences, goals, and fears. What looks irrational to one person might be perfectly reasonable to another. Understanding that truth helps you stop judging others and start mastering yourself. The goal isn't to know more about money, it's to behave better with it. Knowledge helps, but behavior builds wealth. Be patient when others panic. Save when it's tempting to spend. Stay humble when things go well, and calm when they don't. Because the richest people aren't always the ones with the most money, they're the ones who sleep peacefully at night, free from financial stress and comparison. If you'd like to read the full book or explore more of Morgan Housel's work, you can find a link in the description below. And if you enjoyed this audiobook summary, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more life-changing summaries that help you grow wiser, wealthier, and freer, one lesson at a time.